root. So whether it is a square root or a fourth root, you cannot have a negative, all right? The radicand cannot be negative, okay? That is not allowed if you got that. So if it is the square root of 4, but it's then this is no real solution. But I think everybody knows that. But just remember, if odd root, I just want to remind you, you can have a negative because the answer to that would be -2. Because if you go -2 times -2 to 3 times, which is odd, then you would have a negative inside. So we all know that. What some of you did not know is if you have an even radical with stuff inside, let's just make it, I'll make up another one, 2x plus 1. And let's say that is equals to any negative number in the world. Let's say -4. When I see that, no real solution for x. Now, a lot of you didn't know that. But I will prove it to you quickly. I just want to quickly prove it to you because I know what you guys are going to do. Oof, it's cold. You're going to say, man, but can't we square both sides? Then it will become positive, and then the radical will come out. And look, ma'am, I'm getting an answer. So 4 minus 1 would be 3, and you would be very happy. Look, ma'am, I did get an answer. So therefore, I'm thinking what you're thinking in your head, that there's no solution. Do you remember when we square an equation, we can introduce a solution? So upon checking, let's just have a look here. Upon checking, all right, do you agree that this is my left-hand side, and there's the equals, there's my right-hand side. So on the right-hand side, we have -4. On the left-hand side, I have the square root of 2 times x, but we've said x is 3 over 2 plus 1. So because we times it, you all agree that would cancel out there beautifully. So you're going to get 3 plus 1, which is 4. And you must always, always, always remember, this is an expression. It's not an equation. And by definition, when you square root in an equation, you only get a positive answer. Only get a positive answer. So you see 2 does not equals -4. It never did, it never will. And that would mean the left side doesn't equals to the right side. And there was only one solution for x. So that means, you know, upon checking, just telling you, there is no real solution for x. Now, I want you just to know something, that would actually be a mark, because that is, if you know, you don't get full marks up to there, because do you understand? The answer for x, solve for x, would be there's no real solution. So now let's just go to the exam one before we look at the textbook homework. If we look at the exam, let me just get rid of this. Ooh, okay, it's all here. I'm just going to find it. There's the text. Here's the memo. There's exam. Found it. Last page. Always the last page. Okay. Most of you will have got, I would assume, out of 4, I would assume 3 out of 4. That's what I would assume, because it had a trick. But having said that, maybe you'll say, ma'am, I did get 4 out of 4. Okay, so we have 2 brackets. I said the brackets, if you remember, were putting me off a little bit, but I had the square root. Inside, I had the square root of 32 plus x, and then there's the square root inside the square root of 32, and then it was minus x, and it equals 2x. So remember, we could just say, okay, 1 radical, but remember, that must be in a bracket, square root of 32 plus x, and that radicand must also be in a bracket. Square root of 32 minus x equals x. Then we had to square both sides to eradicate the square root, and then you would just be left with the square root of 32 plus x times the square root of 32 minus x, which is the conjugate, but if you know what I'm saying, but it's also just, in this case, FOIL. And you're going to get x squared. So surd 32 times surd 32, it just comes out. Then this negative term will cancel that positive term. Then you're going to get a minus x squared equals to x squared. So if you bring this to the other side, do you agree that, everybody, just look here, we're going to get 2x squared equals to 32. I brought that across. And if we divide both sides by this 2 coefficient, we'll get 16. And then when you take the square root, you know that we get a plus minus. So initially, if you all went x could be plus or minus 4, I would say, well done, your algebra is exceptionally good. But there's a but. Now, but, oh my word. Go back to this very opening statement. Or let's even look at this one. I squared both sides, okay? Remember, the minute you square both sides, you could bring in a false solution. Now, do you see I have a square root, and inside is stuff. Doesn't matter what's in there. Now, it equals to x. Now, you see, if x equals to minus 4, obviously it would be minus and minus 4 there. So I just want to make sure you understand. Be replaced with minus 4 wherever. But you see, you've got your square root equals to a negative. And remember, I said you can't have that. So that is not allowed, no real solution. So what I'm trying to say, let's go back to that being x. If x was positive 4, well, we've got a positive, it would work, all right? And if you replace this with, you'll see that you get the same left-hand side equals right-hand side. So despite my algebra being impeccable, you've got to just say, however, maybe, and obviously you would write it down, not on the side. However, look, I didn't even spell that right. However, let's try that again. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to go, therefore x equals to 4 only. All right? So, yeah. So they had a bit of a trick. A lot of people would have got caught out there. Just remember, whenever you're dealing with square roots, when you're solving for x, just check your solutions. That's the only time you have to ever check your solutions. But of course, if you are one of those students who work fast, there's a lot of places where you can check your answers. I normally, in an exam, finish the exam, and I can normally do it in half the time. So I could do, let's say, a matric paper 1 in 1.5 hours. So I have 1.5 hours where I can go to almost every question and check it again. But not everyone has time to do that. So I think rather just work as fast as you can to finish the exam. And then if you have time, come back to the where you with stuff inside, let's say, that's the radical, you have to bring that term, then you square the whole of the right and the whole of the left, then inside here the radicand comes out. This would be FOIL, okay? And then you'll get a trinomial equals to 0, more than likely, and you'd factorize it, and you're going to get x equals to an answer, or x equals to an answer. And then this is the only time, upon checking, and then take each solution one at a time, put it in the original. That's my left side, that's my right side. And if there's an x in here as well, like that, for example, you know, when x is, let's say, that first solution, you would put it there and there. Does that equals to that? Anyway, I want to take that out because that probably wouldn't work. So I just wanted to say, done. I told you to try this And some of you might have got stuck on it, some of you might have got stuck on it. I think the one that maybe you would have got stuck on, possibly question 3, but what I'd like to do, let me just do exercise 2C, where you've got to times it by the conjugate. Then I'll do question 3 as a learning channel, but then I'm sending you the answer step for step. I'm getting this teacher's guide. They are very normal. For example, let's say it said rationalize the denominator. Okay, we would all do that. But we teach times, then to understand, you would write it. 3 goes there once, 3 goes there twice, vertically downwards. Now this very, very, very naughty textbook, you'll see it goes like this equals to this equals to this. Now, we don't want that set out for you guys. I'm just saying we would want the vertical set out. But having said that, at least the answers are going to be there. All right, so very quickly, let's just look at those last 2 questions, and then I will show you more nice stuff from, nice is a terrible adjective, never use that in an essay, but I'll show you some more cool stuff, cool, where, okay? I'll show cool stuff after these 2. All right, so let's just say you got that, and the question is rationalize denominators. Guys, they wouldn't even have to say that. If they said simplify, and you have a third in the denominator, you know you've got to rationalize it. Right? So this is an example where we have many terms. So remember, your numerator, doesn't matter if there's a third in your numerator, we just don't want the irrational third in the denominator. That's why we've got to rationalize the denominator. All right. So remember, this is where you times it by the conjugate. So I look at the denominator there, and I'm going to times it by 4 minus, not plus, reverse the sign, third 2, but then you've got to do the same to the numerator, right? Because, as we said yesterday, I think most of you understand this now, as long as it's the same thing, you just times in that fraction by a 1. So it's like going back to primary school, you have a third, and you times that by 2 over 2, which is it goes 1. 2 over 2 is 1. Then you get 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. Now, 2 over 6 and 1 over 3, they equal the same. They are equivalent fractions. Don't know if I'm spelling this right, but who cares? Okay, so because of that knowledge, that's what I'm going to do. So let me get rid of this, because that's not part of this stuff. All right, so let's work vertically downwards, and I'll just put my 1 there. So it's a 1. You look at that, what the hell is that? It looks like a little squirrel. Let me give it a tail. Do not do that in your test. All right, so in the numerator, I'm going to actually keep the third 2 and keep this factored, because there is a chance that maybe a bracket will cancel. Okay, do you all agree? 4 times 4, okay, this really looks terrible. 4 times 4 is 16. Then you get minus 4 third 2 plus 4 third 2, gone. Plus times minus is minus. And what else we can say here? We can say third 2 times third 2 comes out. I think I actually did this one. I remember getting a denominator of 14. Okay. In this example, if I were to times it in, I don't know if it would even help in the slightest. So let's just have a look if that's where they left their answer. If I just quickly go to number 2, C. Oh, they did multiply. Wait, 2. Ugh, hang on, don't tell me I copied the question down wrong again. No. Okay, hang on, something's interesting. Oh, guys, now this is not me. Please do not blame me. That is the real answer for C. What the memo did, so that the memo, the book's memo, is not the same as this, because now in the memo, just for interest, there was never a cert over that 2. Okay, so let's just pretend this is a new question. All right? Because this is actually what's going to be reflected on 2C. So let's just pretend it's a new question. But the reason I do like this, I'd like you to see this, is you see, now if I times that in, oh wait, don't times it in, don't. Do you see that? Damn it. Keep it factorized because it's 2 times the bracket over 14. So 2 divides into itself once, 2 divides into 14, 7. So if I may just go here, 4 minus 2 over 7 is what they've got. But then that is not the same as the question that you actually got, because the question you got had a cert 2 there. Okay? All right. So, yeah, interesting error there. All right. So I'm not, I said I'll do number 3. Let's quickly look. The book, I think, has a few different methods. I haven't really looked at the answer, so let's see what I would do, and then I'll see which method I did. They said, show this can be written as, okay? So the minute you see the word show or prove, show, you actually need to go left side, right side. There must be no equals. They want me to write it as cert x over y plus 1 of x. Now you can see there's no cert in the denominator. You see that? What I would always do, this is how I would do it, is fraction plus fraction. I would always go into an LCD. So my LCD, I need a place for 2 and I need a place for cert x. By the way, x can most definitely not equals to 0 because of the situational where it is. It's in the denominator, all right? Now, if you divide this denominator into the LCD, you're left with cert x, okay? Because that would cancel. So you have cert x times cert x. Now we know what that becomes. We'll come to it. When you divide cert x into this, then theoretically that would cancel and you're left with that. Okay, so the cert times itself, it comes out. So you've got x plus xy over x. I'm going to factorize this x. So take it out, leave me 1 plus y over x cert x. Then you see I can cancel out that. Now, I'm not quite finished because I've got 1 plus y x. And there's no cert there. So you can see I must find it. Okay? So, do you notice they didn't actually multiply in brackets. This is the 1, by the way. Remember, you can multiply in any order, and cert x times cert x is x. I think if that was mine, and that was my matric question, I would just put your x cannot be naught. Just in case that was a mark. You never know with these things. Sometimes the darndest things happen. All right. So, yeah, they get 2 methods. They do. They give 2 methods. But please take note, when I send this number C, that was not the original question. All right, so I'm just going to make a note of that when I photograph it to you. Okay, can someone tell me how long? Wait, my watch is working today. Goodness gracious. Okay, so we still have, okay.
About the lesson ends at 25 past. So we've got about 13 minutes.
Yeah, that is plenty of time. Yo, 14 minutes. So you have no idea how much 14 minutes is if they tell you in your end of grade 11 exam or your matric final, and it's your maths final exam, and they say you have 14 minutes, most of you panic, but you have no idea how much time you can actually do. 14 minutes is 14 minutes. Okay, guys, I'm just going to put this down. I'm going to bring out this little book. This is the grade 11 November 2017 paper 1. Okay, everything has been reduced. So who do you think got hold of this? I say nothing. In other words, everything has been made very small. Are you with me? And so what I'm going to do is we're going to work through one or two of the cool questions. Then it goes on to number patterns that we haven't done number patterns this year, I don't think. Then it goes on to exponential and hyperbola, which we haven't done on the level we need to this year yet. Then it gives me a parabola question, okay? So I think I'll definitely send that as well because we've done the parabola. And then I'll let you do that all for homework. Obviously, we're going to start a little bit of the algebra now. And I have at the back, we've used their official memo. I thought it would have been my handwriting, but we did use the official memo. Okay, so if I look at it, okay, maybe we've done some of these questions. I'm not even sure. These red dots could be that I've done them with you, or I've done them with my so I've done them with some extra maths class, but this is a nice question. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to try it, so write it down. If x equals to 3 minus the square root of a over the square root of 2, so x equals to this, and y equals to 4 plus third a over third 2. Determine the value of, and then they went x plus y squared. It is a 3-mark question. Now guys, 3 marks, okay? That means you have maximum 3.5 minutes. So I'm going to stand back. Let's see what you do. Then I'll show you what I'm going to do. You try it. Okay, you've got 30 seconds and then I'm taking over. All right. Now some of you are going to go, Dad, Mrs. Holmboe, I'm not finished, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. You see, let me tell you a story. It's going to blow your mind away, and a lot of you would have done that and you would have been finished. There is a second way that you can do it, but it's going to take you a long time. What I do, okay? Well, I'm thinking of foiling that out, but then the substitution, that's when it's going to become long. I'm thinking of, well, if x is 3 minus surd A over surd 2 plus y, now y is 4 plus surd A over surd 2, okay? So now it's x is that, I'll put it there, plus y is that, and I've put it there, in a bracket, squared. Now, I'm certainly not going to FOIL that out. One thing I've learned, always try sometimes to simplify the inside before you get, especially with exponents. So before you get too busy and too hectic, I'm just going to go into black pen because my red is running out. Do you agree my LCD, which you cannot drop, would be surds 2? They both over surd 2. And remember, I'll tell you every lesson, but I will tell you every lesson until I finish my trip, that a division line is a flat bracket. Okay, however, there is a ghost plus 1 outside, so ghost plus 1 outside. So in this example, I could actually just, under one denominator, write 3 minus surd A, and just hold on a second. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just went blank, but the reason I went blank, it's so messy. Okay, so I'm going to have 3 minus surd A and plus 4 plus surd A. Okay, because it's a plus, not a times. Plus, my ghost ones have made this actually a bit of a mess. Okay, so do you see I went into an LCD lamb chops, take the ghost away of surd 2, and they both over surd 2, so it'll just be that. Now you see that the surds negate, leaving you 3 plus 4, which is 7, over surd 2, and I am going to rationalize that. So I'm going to go, the answer is, I'm going to say 7 surd 2 over 2. Okay, now, even though I drew my ghost ones and I made such a mess, I still did that probably in less than 3 minutes. Let's just make sure I did it right, though.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
What happened to the square?
Ah! Thank you, my angel shoes. Angel puff, guess what? I forgot to square it. Yeah, it's Friday. Okay, so yeah, thank you. The square is back. So we're going to shower the power like that. So 7 squared is 49. Surd 2 squared is just 2 over, don't forget to square the denominator, which is 4. 2 goes there once, 2 goes there twice. So we should get 49 over 2. All right? Now let's see if I'm right. Was that Nelly again? Who fixed that up, that square?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm getting good with your voice, eh? I always told you, Nelly, your maths is brilliant. You should be getting A pluses. Just, I think you work better from home because, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think which question that was. Sorry, let's go to the answer. So that was 2.3, right at the bottom, and 2.3.
Hold on. Ma'am, you have 4.
Okay, they just went 24 and a half, but that is the same. Guys, I promise you on my life, you get full marks for this. Wait, not for that. As long as it can't come down to a lower ratio, all right? And if I would personally, I would never write my answer like that, even though everyone knows that a half is 0.5, because if they did say no calculator, I try and stay away from decimals at all. I know we know a half is 0.5, but I would never write my answer as a decimal if it were no calc. I would have personally left my answer like that. Now, that's a good thing, Nelly. Without me squaring that, this is interesting. I wouldn't have just lost 1 mark. I actually would have lost 2. Damn it. That gives me 33%. I tell you why. By not squaring it, I made the question simpler. By having the squared there, it actually created more maths. So sometimes when you do a sum and you make an error, but the error now makes the sum much easier, you don't get full carry-on accuracy marks because, you know, we would say if you did this, maximum 1 out of 3. Okay? I'm just so irritated. I think you've noticed most of my errors is I either leave things out or copy them down wrong, or, you know, I really should maybe clean my glasses before each lesson. I think that would be a good start. Being afraid, but I don't, it's just, I've got a 33 points. Okay. Not good enough though, green side. We're not aiming for a 30-something pass. We want to get all of us A's. And I know we've got a very bunch of clever grade 11s. How many? Oh, you said 25. Oh, we only have 3 minutes.
No, ma'am, 1.5 minutes.
1.5 minutes. Okay, in 1.5 minutes, that's a long time. Quickly, if you have 2 to the x plus 4 bracket, 2 to the x minus 16 equals 0. And I said solve for x. Let's say I say 3 marks. What would you do? Don't FOIL it. Don't FOIL it. Look, it's already a factor times a factor equals to 0. So just 2 to the x plus 4 equals to 0, or 2 to the x minus 16 equals 0. Now, 2 to the x equals, bring it across, minus 4. Is that allowed? No solution. Why? Because it doesn't matter what value you make x, you're never going to get a negative. If you make x 0, you get 1. If you make x minus 1, you'll get 2 to the minus 1. If you make x, what did I say? If you make x minus 1, you get a half. You see, you'll never get that. And then here, 2 to x equals 16. It's positive, so that's 2 to the 4. So x equals to 4 only, and that's my answer. Are you all still there, or have I lost you?
We're here.
Do you see 1.5 minutes? I did it. So, guys, time is an illusion.